Mayor Brandon Johnson scores a victory, saving one of his key legislative accomplishments. He won today's battle, but his opponents are already looking ahead to 2027. To City Hall we go tonight to get to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. The April City Council meeting is in the books, and it wrapped up with a win for Mayor Johnson. City Council failed to override the mayor's veto of a measure that would freeze the phase-out of sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. The vote was 30-19, 4 votes short of the tally needed for an override. The so-called One Fair Wage ordinance, passed in 2023, is a plan to eliminate Chicago's sub-minimum wage. The current minimum wage for tipped workers is $12.62 an hour. It's set to increase to the city minimum, $16.60, by 2028. Johnson allies argue tipped workers deserve their pay bump, while alders who push to pause the plan cite restaurant industry concerns.
In a moment in which affordability is the #1 issue, not just in the city of Chicago, but in this country, we cannot shift the burden onto labor to say you don't deserve a raise today because everything's too expensive. Well, everything's too expensive for them too.
The restaurant industry that has been impacted by property taxes, Fair Work Week ordinance, which I support, PTO, which I support, sick day. But these are all unfunded mandates that we continue piling on the restaurants and telling them, hey, you figure it out. Well, they have figured it out because they're reducing hours and they're reducing staff. And that's not what we want.
For some time now, the Illinois Restaurant Association has worked to stop the 5-year phase-out. Members of council admit times are tough for businesses. They say they'll all meet next week to talk about ways to make the transition easier. Johnson ally Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor told colleagues the issue is difficult and that the city should keep working towards a compromise.
We're not talking about the Cheesecake Factories of the world or the Fridays or the Chili's. We're talking about Norman Bistro. We're talking about Pizza Capri. We're talking about small businesses. And what is so disheartening about all of this is you're sitting in a city council full of organizers. And what we should have done was have both sides come together a long time ago and have the conversations. Because now we in this who is right and who is wrong and neither one. I want tip workers to get paid. I want them to make a living wage. But I also don't want to see the Soleils and the Virtues and those small businesses close either. And so where is the compromise? Where is the compromise in the conversation?
Tonight, the last word on this matter from Mayor Johnson, who briefed reporters after City Council.
Let's stop pitting small business owners against the workers. Let's stop doing it. If we can just focus our attention on where the real challenge is, then I actually believe that allows us to create the type of communities that we all want. Again, a $1.25 billion bond investment, over $600 million devoted to small businesses. That is the largest investment in the history of Chicago for small businesses. And yes, we passed paid time off. Yes, we've abolished the subminimum wage that has its vestiges tied to slavery. And black and brown women being forced to make ends meet off of less than $35,000 a year, that's an injustice.
Also today, City Council voted to raise cab fares by 20%. It's the first fare hike in a decade. Supporters say the measure will help drivers compete with rideshare companies. The council chose Alderman Gilbert Villegas of the 36th Ward as the new permanent chair of the powerful zoning committee. Alders went around the mayor with the appointment. Johnson tried to install Alderman Byron Cicho Lopez and Alderman Daniel Espada to the post. He was unsuccessful, leaving Alderman Bennett Lawson as the acting chair. Frustrated with the acting title, Lawson refused to take up zoning business, demanding the mayor make him the permanent chair. He never did. Meanwhile, Villegas worked behind the scenes, securing support for the job from the council's Black Caucus. The mayor says he's prepared to work with Villegas. The council delayed a vote on a proposal designed to rid the Chicago Police Department of officers with ties to extremist organizations. Alderman Matt Martin is carrying the measure. Hear from him and Alderman Nick Sposato, who opposes singling out CPD. Alderman, tell us about this measure to root out CPD officers with ties to extremist groups.
I think it starts with a simple premise that if you are looking to overthrow government, you shouldn't be able to collect a government paycheck. And that if you're tasked with enforcing the city's laws, you shouldn't be a member of a hate group that might be looking to undermine that. So we've been working for over 14 months with those principles in mind. We had an ordinance passed out of the Workforce Committee, and I look forward to it passing soon.
Do you know how many officers you're talking about? There's been research done that shows that this is a small problem among some CPD officers.
Look, we know that there's a history of alleged ties to the Proud Boys, 3%ers, and Oath Keepers. The Sun-Times has talked about that. The Inspector General's office has talked about that. At the end of the day, when we see the federal government pardoning January 6th extremists, when we see them looking to pull back on common sense regulations that apply to the military and federal law enforcement, it's important for us to step in. And that's what this ordinance seeks to do.
Some of your colleagues have said that you're targeting CPD, that in fact there are people working in city government who were part of the Black Lives Matter movement, where things maybe got out of hand, where there were riots following the murder of George Floyd. How do you respond to that?
We started off when we introduced this ordinance with it applying to many people across most of our city departments. After lots of conversations with the law department, we felt that the current version was the one that was best able to withstand legal muster, specifically with First Amendment concerns in mind. The First Amendment takes very seriously people's associational rights, but at the end of the day, if you can use lethal force pursuant to your job, that's something that the First Amendment treats differently, and so that's why we're going to be moving forward with this.
This is an embarrassment. There should be all city workers. If you want to do something like this, the police should not be singled out. It should be all city workers.
Well, let me put it this way. Should Chicago police officers be able to have ties to hate groups, extremist groups?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. No, but nobody should. Firemen shouldn't. Nobody that works at the city should have any ties to anything like that. So there should be everybody. It should not just be the police. That's my only issue with it. I think it's a nothing burger. I think it's a publicity stunt by the maker of the ordinance.
Mayor Brandon Johnson hasn't said yet if he'll run for a second term, but on Monday he attended a fundraiser for his campaign in New York hosted by former Congressman Jamal Bowman. If he does run again, Johnson is likely to face a long list of challengers. We caught up with 9th Ward Alderman Anthony Beal to discuss the quiet maneuvering ahead of next February's election. Alderman, when you and your colleagues are not here, how much are you all talking about 2027?
Well, you always have to start talking about 2027 because that's just the nature of the game that we're in. We're always trying to figure out, how we can best position ourselves. If you are running for re-election, how you can best position yourself to your constituency to be re-elected. And that's projects, services, making sure you're not raising taxes on the backs of people who can't afford it. And so it's a whole host of things that people look for when you start looking towards re-election.
And for those of you who've been voting against Mayor Johnson, how excited are you about a campaign getting started and there being a different voice and a different possible direction for the city?
Well, I think it's clear that the city definitely needs to go in a different direction. We see everything that's happening in the city, the challenges that are happening in the city, and people are really, I don't think are satisfied with the direction that the city is going, with the team takeovers, with taxes, with the crime, the education system, things like that. I don't think all of those things are not being addressed on the level that they think they should be. People are looking for somebody with a little more stern voice and stern position on stopping these things that are hurting the city. And so you can't continue to just take a soft glove approach to the team takeovers. When people are leaving the city in droves, you have to do something to give people a sense of mind that, you know what, I'm in it to the end, and I'm gonna make sure that the city is safe no matter what. And we cannot. When people are doing wrong, we have to condemn that.
What are donors saying, and how many potential candidates do you think are lining up to explore running for mayor?
Well, right now I know of about 5 to 6 people who are looking at potentially running. Some have raised a substantial amount of money. I know businesses is definitely looking for somebody, and they've raised about $15 million. And so I think there's a very strong current of change that people are looking for in the city.
You said business has raised $15 million.
Business has already raised $15 million to put towards the next mayoral election.
And best case scenario for them is they they would back one candidate?
Well, I think that's what they're looking for. They're looking to get behind the best qualified candidate. Who that person is right now, we don't know. But they are looking for the best qualified candidate who's going to represent the entire city and not just portions of the city. Somebody who's going to, know every end of the city from one end to the other. Is going to do right by business, do right by crime, do right by the education system. They're looking for somebody who's well-rounded that's going to do the right thing for this city.
I hear your name. Do you have any plans? What are you thinking about?
Well, I mean, the thing is, right now I'm gearing up for re-election to be the alderman of the 9th Ward. I am the most tenured council member here in the city of Chicago, and I think we've done a good job on bringing jobs and opportunity to the city.
You've not been shy about taking on this mayor.
Well, the thing is, I'm not shy about taking on what's right and what's wrong. And if I feel that something is wrong, I'm going to take it on. If something is right, I'm going to support it. And that's always been my position. And so I know there's a lot of wrong things that are happening, in my opinion. But I think a lot of people share that same opinion, that there's a lot of wrong things happening in the city. And I'm going to continue to stand up and make sure that the city doesn't continue to go down the path that it's going.
We're back in 60 seconds. Tonight, we tip our hat to the late former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, who on tax day, April 15th, 12 years ago, sent the IRS a letter saying he had no idea if he paid his taxes properly. He complained the tax code is too complex, the form's too complicated. So good luck, all who need to finish up their taxes before tonight's midnight deadline. And that is The Point. I'm Tahman Bradley. Mike is back with more news tonight at 9. The Forecasters is next on WGN Plus. Ciao.